blacksmith to a forged and fire contestant. I've been in love with blacksmithing and bladesmithing for as long as I can remember. I started about 5 years ago, and I wanted to bring y'all along in my shop with me, and maybe we can learn a little bit together. I hope y'all enjoy the content. Give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Let me know what you want to see next, and here's the rest of the video. So what we're doing here, as you can see, the pattern is running long ways across our billet. So we're going to take it and upset these edges along both sides and bring it down to a smaller billet. And then we're going to take the piece of steel that we're working on the side and forge weld it to the bottom to give us that extra hard blade edge of our knife. The other part that I wanted to tell y'all, I'm starting all of this pretty basic hand tools. I got a couple hand hammers. I've got a pretty basic forge, nothing real fancy. But I kind of want to show y'all how you can start with absolutely nothing. I started with a 5-gallon bucket full of mud, and now I've moved up. I can make a lot of things on your own. You can make a lot of things on your own, and it's really a hobby that you don't have to have a lot of money to start. It's something that you can enjoy for a very meager price to do on the weekends or make a little bit of extra cash. So, as you saw there, we took that piece of metal, stuck it on the hot cut hardy here, and we trimmed this end piece off. As you can see, it's got kind of a little bit of a separation at the end of it, along here, and it's got a weld mark across the end. So, the reason we did that is so that we have a clean piece of metal on the end of our knife to forge out, and that way we're not dealing with a lot of inclusions or openings or fish mouths. It just makes everything a little bit cleaner. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these channel locks, like I said, pretty inexpensive. We're going to grab onto each end in opposite directions. We're going to pick it up and maybe give it a twist. This is kind of the redneck way of doing things, but it gets the job done. And that's going to distort that pattern. As you can see, it's already kind of showing up right there. It's going to distort that pattern a little bit. Give us a little bit more detail on the inside of it, and when we do finish grinding, it'll really show up nice. But right now we're going to stick it back in the forge. It's cooled off a little bit, and we'll give it another twist. Twisted it in this direction, counterclockwise, and then we're going to take it and draw it out, and so that's going to give our pattern a little bit more depth and width along the twist, and that'll make it a little more interesting to look at when you get finished with it. is that's going to drag our pattern in this direction towards the tip. So as you can kind of see, we have a little bit of spiral going through, and we have a blank space. That's going to pull that towards the end and drag that pattern throughout the knife. That way we're not just having gaps or spots where we can't see the pattern throughout the knife. That's also going to help us shape our tip down. And we're getting pretty close here to final dimensions on the blade side of the knife. And then we're just going to work towards the guard and the tang area. Shape of the blade here. It's pretty rough, but we'll fix that in the grinder. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut this end off right here and flip it around and work from this end this way. And we're going to forge in our guard, or maybe an integral guard, and then forge in our tang. So it's going to be a hidden tang design, so that means you won't have the tang showing on the back end. But right now we're going to go back to the forge, get hot, and then we're going to put it on the hot cut hardy and get this separated from this bar. The reason for a hot cut hardy is so that we don't have to go in and put extra stress on the metal. We go ahead and cut it while it's hot. That way we can move a little bit faster in the forge. Another thing you want to be careful with a hot cut is not to go all the way through. You actually kind of want to take it and get it part of the way and then bend it, break it off that way, because if you go all the way through your hot cut, you're going to shoot your metal across the shop and possibly catch yourself on fire or something else. So I like to go ahead and take it apart and then work that way. Looking at this, move some stuff around, we see that for a hidden tang, we really need to draw it down in this area and then bring it down to a point. But with all this extra meat on the back end, what we're going to do is we're going to take and cut this off, draw it out a little bit more, and then cut it off on the hot cut again, and then use this back piece for maybe a pommel or a guard when we go to do the knife. So I think that's what we're going to do is we're going to draw this out a little bit more, make it a little bit thinner in this area, and then hot cut that off, forge out our ricasso area pretty rough, and then bring that tang down to a point, and then we can go back into the shop, get a rough grind on it, and get a little bit of a test edge to see what we're going to look like at the end. So we're going to leave this area of the knife pretty thick. So this is going to be our ricasso area right around in here. And then this is where we're going to draw our tang out. So when we go ahead and cut this off, we're going to take this metal from here up to the ricasso area and draw it down real nice and long, and leave it pretty thick, or at least try to. And so that way when we go to fit up on the end, we won't have any gaps between our guard and our handle and our ricasso area. So we went ahead and got that excess off the end. As you can see, we left it about an inch and a half in length. That's more than enough for a guard or a pommel. With it being a hidden tang, we're probably not going to do a pommel just because the tang's not going to run all the way through the handle. So this is more than likely going to end up being our guard, just depending on how the fit up goes and if we decide to keep going with the hidden tang or if we go ahead and do a full tang knife. But we left this kind of long, and then we've got our piece of metal still, our knife blade in the forge again, and then we're going to bring that back and forge down that tang. Depending on how much we can forge that tang down depends on whether or not we're going to have a hidden tang or a full tang. If we get a real long piece and it's a pretty decent length and width, we're probably going to go ahead and cut it down and make it a hidden tang. But if we can only pull out like a short little amount, we'll go ahead and do a hidden tang and just throw this on as a guard instead of a pommel. So we just came out of the forge. We did a couple thermal cycles just to soften up the steel a little bit, make the grinding process go a little faster. We're gonna kind of rough grind it with an angle grinder. Take down the flats, try to get it pretty close. Doesn't have to be perfectly decent because then we'll get it over on the belt sanders, finish up on there. But we'll get the flats done, get all the forge scale off, and then take it over to the belt sanders, do a little bit of grinding on the belt sanders, get a little bit cleaner finish, check everything over, make sure there's no cracks or anything in the blade or anything I need to fix, go back into the forge and do. And then from there we'll do a test etch, see what our pattern looks like, and give you all a little sneak peek. So we've done all the rough grinding, and we're about to take and put it in this ferric chloride, just to kind of see what the pattern's going to look like. So we're going to go ahead and put that in now. And for all of you that want to see the pattern, come in next week or next episode, and we'll show you the pattern. You've got to get a little bit of a sneak peek before the knife is finished. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll link my website in the link below, and see y'all next week.